Love is sacrifice without the hope of reward, usually credited to Aristotle. Now, reason I am bringing this up is because I have witnessed so many different times when it comes to not only romantic love, but familial love, friendship love. A lot of the times people take that word sacrifice to a different aspect than I'm thinking when I think sacrifice. For me, when it's sacrifice, when it comes to love, is I don't mind going out of my way to do things for people, stepping in and helping them, thinking ahead and be like, you know what, they're going through a situation right now. Let me try to see if they're okay or send them some food or anything like that, right? But there's other people where they think sacrifice means giving all of their autonomy away to someone else, their time, their schedule, their energy. And they say, well, that's love. That's what you're supposed to do. And I say, well, up to a certain extent. One of the situations that I've witnessed a lot is, again, no disrespect, I might get some pushback on this one, but the parental love when you become an adult. And I've noticed there's a lot of people where they be like, they are willing to ruin everything they created just because they're like, well, that's my parent. Mm-mm. You should love them regardless, unless they did something to you so extreme that it makes sense that you just don't have love for that person or being, right? But to go to the extent of sacrificing yourself to the point of exhaustion, shame, pain, all of these things that are not attributed to love, right? Because there is pain in love, but you don't need to suffer in order to be in love, right? You don't need to suffer in order to get love. And there's a lot of people who are willing to suffer and give their identity away just to get what they feel is a glimpse or taste of love. And I always try to remind myself this, even for myself. I ask myself, am I doing this for me or am I doing this because I think I'm going to get something out of it? That has been a game changer because even without realizing it, and unless you learn how to identify it and label it in a way that, again, is helpful, not hindering, you will see that it's like, no, I'm actually doing this because I want attention. Or, nope, I'm actually doing this because I feel good about doing it, but I'm not doing it for them. There's a lot of levels to that where that's okay. That is fine to do things because it makes you feel good. That's not for that person. But do it because you want to, not because you need to, and don't tell anybody unless you're just trying to get attention, right? That's the part of the statement where it says, love without sacrifice and you don't expect a reward, because there's a lot of times a lot of people do this. They will go out of their way to do something and hope that they're going to get a reward, like, see, I've been a good boy, see, I've been a good girl, you're supposed to do this. I did everything you said for me to do and I did it and you didn't do it and now I'm angry. And this is where you get those triggers from childhood that pop up where people start to remember, why can't you just do this thing? Because a lot of people think relationships are getting what their parents didn't give them, or the continuance of getting what their parents gave them and they expect others to step in line and do the same. And that's when I tell people, I'm not your parent. I am so intrigued by triggers because I have them myself, but one of the ones that I trigger a lot in people is the parentified mother or father, where I am telling people something because they came to me for advice, but because I'm not saying it in the way that they like or my tone is a little off, then automatically I'm the enemy, they're the victim, and it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, calm down. That's not where I was going with this at all, especially if you came to me for advice or help. And so I would think about it like, am I doing something that's making people feel this way? And then I just thought about it. It's like a lot of people never had the opportunity to tell their parents off. A lot of people still to this day have not stood up to their parents appropriately. I'm not saying you have to be disrespectful, but there is a level of when you become an adult, you need to know how to speak up and stand up to everyone in your life for the sake of your own autonomy, and not just because it's this illusion of respect. Because again, I will give respect when necessary, but I'm not going to give respect just because you demand it, right? And now you go out into the world because you can't demand it from your parents. You can't demand it if you're the smallest one of your family, if everyone's trying to bully up on you, right? So when you go out into the world and you get a little money, or you get a little status, or you get a little size on you where you feel confident and cocky, guess what? A lot of people become reversed. They become bullies and they start fighting people. Again, it might not always be right in front of your face, but sometimes people will come in very nice and polite, but they have an ulterior motive. And sometimes they come in nice and polite, and that's just who they are. But there's still some level of ulterior motive that even they don't recognize, because Kindness is just another way of representing energy. Just like being rude or mean or shutting down, kindness is just energy. It's a choice. No one is just automatically kind just because. It's a choice. There are people who are kind hearted, and that's what comes off as they're happy all the time. But even those people have sad days. They get mad, they have emotions, right? They just know how to tell themselves and love themselves that I have to know how to sacrifice this moment that I used to hold on to as protection and let it go. And know that there's not going to be a reward for me growing because that's just what I'm supposed to do as an adult, right? I know as kids, there was a lot of reward systems for good job, and that's motivation. It's beautiful. But who's going to do that for you at some point in your life if others aren't? This is why I say it's important to, again, go into every situation knowing that you're not going to garner a reward just because you showed up. The reward is you knowing that you're capable of doing the work, or you're capable of handling the emotions or the space or the energy that most probably can't. This is why it's important to, again, when we say self-care, self-love, that's what it means to me. So that I know that when I'm loving on myself and caring for myself, everything comes at a sacrifice. I mean, I used to be a partier. Like, I still love a good party and go out and stuff, but I used to drink so heavy. And now I'm like, I have to sacrifice that in order for the love of my body, the love of my health, the love of self to just be the reward, right? Like, I have to know that that is the reward that I cannot expect. I should expect it because it's part of a discipline as being in the human avatar, right? Again, I'm not putting anyone down for not knowing how to take care of themselves, but what I am saying is we have to get to that point where we say, it's okay to not know how to love. It's okay to not know when to give it or how to give it. But it is very vital to know what it is for you when you receive it, right? Because a lot of the times, we do have people in our lives who are willing to sacrifice without reward, and we don't see them. We look right past them. And then when that person decides that enough is enough and they exit your life, all of a sudden they're the enemy, right? But you don't recognize all the times that they literally have been there for you consistently throughout the time, listening to everything you had to say and everything you've been through. And I know a lot of people believe that that's where it stops, but a lot of that comes with respect of, when you walk away from talking with me, I expect you to at least feel something, right? You don't have to care about what I say, but I expect you to feel something enough that it makes you think. And if I can do that, then that means I've planted the seed of discernment and responsibility and respect of self, because at some point you're going to look back and be like, man, he was so much resistance. Why was he so much resistance? And it's like, I refuse to let people convince themselves of distortion in front of me. And I've met a lot of people where that distorted energy comes from a place of overly sacrificing, and they look and say, well, why are you getting rewards for doing the bare minimum and I'm getting nothing for doing the most? That's a choice that you made. And a lot of people don't know you even made the choice. So if you're choosing to sacrifice, you cannot expect a reward. The reward, again, is knowing I'm a good person for me. I'm doing this because I know it's the right thing to do. That's where morals come in, right? So there's so many ways that that quote could go, but I chose to make it more about love of self because, again, you're never going to get to a place of reward if the only thing you're expecting is reward. Does that make sense? Like, it's okay to know a reward comes at the end, but sometimes just doing the journey is the reward. You don't always get a trophy at the end. So be kind to yourself. Remind yourself that it's okay, again, to give without concern and to give with a little hope that the person is reciprocal to what you're giving. But you can't have an expectation behind it, because if you do, then you're usually going to end up hurting your own feelings, and that's going to stifle your journey. So anyways, I hope that makes sense. Love you.